Okay, we're now going to take a look at using Z-spheres to start concepting out either characters or really anything that you might be making entirely in ZBrush. Now the great thing about Z-spheres is we actually can stay in ZBrush much longer. We don't have to go into Maya, Max, or another software to make base geometry first. Now to do this, we can click on this icon here and choose a Z-sphere. I'm going to start by dragging that in. Hit edit up here, so I'm in my 3D mode. And to get my bearings a little better, I'm going to tap X. That'll give me symmetry. So wherever I click on this now, I'm going to draw a new Z-sphere. So let's say I want to create a character, and maybe this is its maybe lower back area. I'm going to go ahead and drag up to the top. You see these two snap together. And draw another sphere. Maybe then I'll draw yet another sphere. And then maybe one more. And then maybe I'll draw over here. So you can see how these begin to come together. So to preview what this geometry might look like, I can just tap A. See that right there. So I can start manipulating these by switching to, let's say, my move tool. So if that's going to be the shoulders up there, maybe, I'll go ahead and maybe throw that back a bit. Maybe we'll use the scale tool here to shrink this down a bit. There we go. Maybe I want to draw one for the neck now, so I'll do that right there. Maybe I want to draw some for arms. Just add that in, pull that down. Let's say I want to add an elbow. All I have to do is hit draw here, and if I just click on this link area, it'll draw me another sphere. So I can now use my move tool, maybe pull that back somewhat. You can start to see how easy it is to create a form for whatever it is you're going to be creating. You can see that's hitting A right there. Let's say I want to create a hand with some fingers. Now, we're never going to get really exactly what we want. The whole point is we're getting very rough geometry so that we can move on to sculpting it and we don't have to sit and create a base mesh in another software. So you can see I just drew some small spheres there. I'm going to go ahead now and kind of move them a bit so that I can fit one more finger in there. Just move those there. Just kind of squish that over, maybe bring that over a bit more. Maybe I'll go ahead and fit my other one here now. And bring that down. There we go. And now what I can do is use my draw tool again and draw maybe one more on each one here. There we go. To begin pulling out his fingers. Now, whenever we move these Z-spheres, they actually do pay attention to our focal shift and the draw size. So using a small brush will help because I can select just the sphere that I want to grab there. So let's say I pull all of those out. There we go. Maybe I want to add an extra knuckle into each one. I can just click with my draw tool again, enable draw there. And I can go ahead and just kind of pull those out a bit more there. Whoops. Bring those over. And you can see I'm starting to have what might actually kind of resemble a hand. Now I can thicken these up using scale. Now if I'm just scaling the spheres here, you can see each one scales individually, but I can also scale the entire finger by clicking on the link here. So I can start sizing these a bit more the way I want them. Also, if I hold Alt while scaling, you can see it'll scale the whole limb. And that way we can actually get an overall thicker or thinner finger much easier without nearly as much work as it would be doing all of those individually. If you see this kind of effect where it's kind of going into this weird polka dot mode, that means these spheres are overlapping too much and it's going into negative mode, which means it's going to kind of cut out a little bit. So you just want to move that enough to get it out of the way. Again, your goal is not to sculpt out a whole character, you're just creating a base mesh sculpt on, so don't worry if things are not the exact shape you ultimately want them to be in. You'll have more than enough time to sculpt stuff properly. There we go, quick hand. Maybe I want to adjust the wrist over here. I'll draw a new sphere. Grab scale and shrink that down. We can also shrink this one down too now. That's going a little bit off there. I'll choose move and just kind of pop that out there. There we go. So maybe I want to quickly add some legs in here. Go ahead and draw that. We'll pull these down. You can see start really rough with it. You don't have to be precious with them. You always can go back and fix any problems. I'll just add one for the knees over there. Go. And let me draw something out for the foot. There we go. Maybe if I want to scale all this down, I hold scale. And again, if I hold Alt, it doesn't work up here. I think if I click here, there we go. That'll work. That's too close to the fork there. I don't think it knows how to deal with that. Go ahead and shrink all that down. And let's say that I'm going to actually make one here that I know I'll get rid of. Let's say, go to my draw, and I have one in there. Maybe I was sculpting a bicep or wanting a bicep, and I just don't want that one there. If I go to draw mode and hold Alt when I click, I can actually remove a sphere. And you can see we can now simplify anything we don't need in there. So we can quickly see how this looks. Maybe this is exactly what I want. Maybe that's what I'm going to use to begin sculpting my character. Let me just adjust his chest over here a bit. And I'm actually using my rotate to kind of swing that over. And by the way, feel free to explore using these tools by holding different keys. For example, right now I'm just using move, and you can see the way it's really kind of funny the way it works. It's kind of cool, but it can also kind of mess with the hands there. But if I hold, let's say Alt, you can see I can move the whole arm. Rotation works the same way. You can actually change how you're rotating something depending on what hotkey you're clicking. See that there. Okay, but let's say I like what I have and I want to sculpt on this now. You can't actually sculpt on this. When you see these menus like rigging, Z-sketch, topology, adaptive, unified skin, this is not a sculptable piece of geometry. This is, well, a Z-sphere. To convert this into something we can sculpt, we need to make an adaptive skin. To do that, we just open up this adaptive skin menu. When I was hitting A, it's actually shortcut for this adaptive skin preview. If we want to convert this to a sculptable mesh, we need to click Make Adaptive Skin. Now, this tool is still a Z-sphere. What it's actually done is made a new tool for us right here called Skin_Z-sphere. And this is one that we can now sculpt on. So maybe I grab my clay buildup, hit X for symmetry, and you can see I can start sculpting. Maybe I want to convert this to a Dynamesh. So I'll go here to Geometry. I'm going to delete these subdiv levels by hitting Delete Lower. Come down to Dynamesh, turn that on, and you can see now I'm free to begin sculpting. Go ahead and build up the head there. As you can see, I didn't actually add that with Z-spheres, but it's easy enough to add in with Dynamesh. There we go. So that's a look at using Z-spheres to begin building some geometry. It's not necessary. You can, of course, still import a base mesh out of Maya or any other package, but I think it's a great opportunity or feature, really, to be able to create geometry right within ZBrush. It allows you to be more artistic without focusing nearly as much on the technical, which, don't worry, we'll have to deal with soon enough, but it's nice not to deal with it early on. So that's it for Zspheres.